If you're a bounty hunter in Star Citizen, this has probably happened to you. You show up at the target, but they're in their $1,000 space fortress with a million fighter escorts and they obliterate you in seconds. It happens all too often, but don't let that get you down, because there is always another way. With patience, stupidity and a little bit of luck, I've spent the last couple of weeks attempting to take down the biggest ships in Star Citizen with nothing but my wits and some stealth tactics. I've made it my mission to hunt these ships down and destroy them from the inside. Why? Just because I can. The first target was parked just outside of the Armistice Zone at Grim Hex. I had pursued them back here after several unsuccessful boarding attempts in the Razor, but now I was out on the Apo Nox. I ditched the bike around a kilometre out and floated over to try and remain unseen. They had an Arrow as an escort, so I'd have to try and avoid it. As the ship rotated, I managed to make it over to the airlock and bust my way in, trying to keep low and out of the pilot's field of view. The bridge doors were locked, but the Idris has an elevator at the back of the bridge that I could get up there in. As I hit the bridge, the target was ready for me. But my decked out P4 beat their S-71. As the contract completed, there was only one thing for me left to do. I wanted to make sure the hangar doors were open this time, as it's led to some unfortunate situations of self-destruction before. I made it back down to the hangars from the cargo bay and made my way out of the front of the ship. So yeah, this is just one of the tactics that I've been using to infiltrate and destroy these huge ships from the inside. I made it back to Grim Hex in the Nox, ready to take on the next big fish. So if you've hit an OM marker around a planet, chances are you've probably encountered this scenario. You jump in, immediately get quantum dampened, and then suddenly 50 ships show up and you're just space dust. Well, I found myself in this exact situation recently, and instead of just giving up and respawning, I bailed out of the Razor. As I looked around, I could see a couple of Idris just sitting at the orbital marker, and I thought, why not? So I started floating my way over there. The group were doing the usual thing of just nuking anything that entered the space, and even though the target wasn't on the Idris, I felt like it was my duty to try and do something about this blockade. I managed to get over to the first one, which was just stationary. But as I got close, the ship started lurching around, making it really difficult to get a stable shot on the airlock door. As the ship veered around wildly and fired its railgun to another unlucky victim, I used my tractor beam to try and stay as close to the ship as possible. Fighting so hard to stay near the door, I managed to get enough shots to open the outer airlock. But now I had a problem. Once I'd made it in, I just didn't have enough bullets to make it through the inner airlock. It takes 2 full mags from the P4 to break through this door, and I just didn't have enough ammo. So I tried to knife my way in, thinking the door can't have much left to go. But it wouldn't budge, and the Idris was engaged by something, and it made its way back to Grim Hex. Which meant I was now stuck inside the armistice zone, with no way of breaking into the ship at all. But I had one last trick up my sleeve, and one last ditch attempt to bring some justice to the system, and I snuck into the hangar from the ship, barely surviving the fall to the ground. The pilot was putting the ship away, so I did the only thing I could do. He would only wake up in Grim Hospital 30 seconds later, but I felt like I got a sense of justice, and also a free ride home. So I was back out in the Razor, jumping to another OM pointer on Crusader. There were lots of hostile signatures around, and as I got closer, I could see 2 Polaris surrounded by fighters. I didn't know what they were up to, but it looked like they were trying to transfer cargo or something, so I decided to punch it towards the ships and eject at the last minute in the hopes they would think I was just destroyed or I crashed. My ship ejected me far on the opposite side of the target, but no one had seemed to see me, and I was clear to try and infiltrate. The outer airlock doors were locked, but they'd opened their cargo bay to do whatever it was they were doing, so I spun up and over the ship, and into the hangar, and then into the vent to the upper decks. One of the AUG was just waiting outside the hangars. I didn't want to eliminate them because then it would blow my cover, but I was wary that they would just shoot me in the back if I ran past to the bridge. After a couple of judo chops to the head, I decided that they were AFK and I should probably just go for it.
Enjoy the ride. System check. Self-destruct activated.
After taking out the target, I hit the self-destruct as usual, but I remembered that the doors will now be locked because I've become hostile to the ship, or for some reason, so I ran back to open them. But one of the crew had come back to the bridge. Why they didn't just shoot me here at this point and turn the self-destruct off is beyond me, but I couldn't let them stop the countdown, so I opened fire. Happily, I took them down without getting a crime stat. In hindsight, I should have just ran through the now open door here, but I knew the others were locked and I ran back to the chair to try and open them again. But as I'm messing around in the menus, the entire thing goes up. But hey, at least I got the target and I took out the ship. I'd found another Idris near Grim that was moving slowly enough to try and board. I was using my tractor beam to keep a hold of the hull, and the target was clearly inside the ship, only 80 metres or so away. As the ship stabilised, I floated around to the airlock and broke my way in again. The outer door of the Idris seems to take only one mag of ammo from a C-54, and then the inner door seems to take 2 full mags to get through it. It was only once I was inside that I realised that the target had somehow made it out of the ship and was about 7,500 kilometres away. How this happened, who knows? But the pilot just took the ship back to Everest. Now I could do nothing but just sit and wait in the security room for him to hopefully leave so I could hijack the ship. No luck though, because just as I was admiring my cool new security office, the ship got lit up by station security and was obliterated in seconds. Still, it was a fun little trip. Alright, so I'd been hunting this next target for around about an hour. They would jump into the asteroid base locations for the new Frontier Fighters event. There was lots of ships just hanging round, and I thought it would make excellent cover to infiltrate the ship. But they kept jumping halfway between the system and just sitting out in deep space. But me being the industrious me that I am, I managed to jump my way close enough to catch up to them in nav mode, which at this point, they were just sitting completely still in deep space. I was hoping the target wasn't in the pilot seat, so I parked close and exited the Razor, not wanting to eject and make a load of noise that they could potentially hear. As I made my way to the airlock door and broke through, I checked the mobiGlas map of the ship, and sure enough, they were out the pilot seat and seemed to be just checking around the interior. I waited until they were heading back up to the bridge and made my entrance. Luckily, I'd brought exactly enough ammo to break through the door with the C-54, but I had my trusty S-38 pistol with a couple of mags as backup. I was in, now I just needed to make it to the bridge. The upper doors were locked once again, so I made my way around to the elevator. I sat there for half a minute, just trying to make sure that the target was actually in the pilot seat. I didn't really want a head-on confrontation with just a pistol. But I made it to the bridge, and they were sat at the helm. Hello mate, how you doing? So yeah, I've taken the target down. They'll be in Klesha from anywhere from half an hour to a full day, and I could destroy the ship now and they'd have to wait like, minimum 20 minutes to get it back. So there was really only one thing left to do. But I thought I'd take the ship for a bit of a victory lap before I turned it into space junk, and this poor little wolf was trying to break in, presumably another hunter who had arrived just a little bit too late. The auto PDC scared him away, which is just another reason in my opinion why these ships are menaces to society and they need to be destroyed. Anyway, I made it back in range of Grim Hex and set the warp core to go into meltdown. So yeah, that's been my story of taking down these whale capital ships with nothing but my little old self and some sneaky tactics. Obviously breaking into ships in the future is going to change, and they will hopefully, lol, have some kind of hacking mechanics and proper way to do shipboarding, but until that time comes, it will be my solemn duty to try and take down these ships wherever I find them, criminal or not. As long as I bring enough ammo, of course. Anyway, that's the end of the video. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And if you are feeling super spicy, please support the channel through Ko-Fi. The link's in the description. Thanks very much, and see you in the next one.